Hi, I'm Travis Sheehan, and welcome to Happy Planet. Today we're going to map the entire landscape of the discussions to follow. We're going to look at the individual's objective in the world in creating just pure happiness for themselves, how their worldview shapes their actions to achieve that, and how that has become distorted into lots of systems that don't necessarily serve us as humans every day. I hope you enjoy, I hope you learn a lot, and I hope you join the discussion.
So this presentation is focused on the role of spirituality in climate change solutions. And we're going to talk about a lot more than climate change solutions, but it starts with a simple equation that I've mapped, and it is humankind, us, you, me, our city systems, our dwellings, our food systems, our economic systems are really all an attempt to reach mission happy. Like, I would say 99.9% of all actions taken in the world are to get us to be happy. And I think happy is a bit of a misnomer. In fact, happy is sort of a symptom to some extent of harmony. So what we're after is really to have this harmonious relationship with ourselves, with our social relationships, with our own bodies, feeling well, feeling healthy, and then harmony within the world, which takes the form of world peace. It takes the form of ecosystems balance, and all the various challenges that we see today are really a sign of disharmony. And as we kind of move along this logic, the thing that is between humankind and this harmony is our worldview, because our worldview is what shapes our actions to get and to build the businesses that we want to build, and to build the build the infrastructure and build all the life support systems that support this happiness. So when we kind of open this up, we ask, why aren't we happy? Why isn't there abundant harmony all over the world? And a lot of spiritual teachings from the last 5,000 years talk about these ideas of blockages, and that is really within our worldview. So things like scarcity, like we don't think we're going to have enough resources, so we want to fight over those resources, or competition, thinking that we need to have leverage and power over others. These are blockages that sort of take us away from mission happy, and they obstruct our ability to actually engage there. And one of the primary blockages, or one of the primary outputs of those blockages, is that by and large, we not only are seen as consumers today, but we see ourselves as consumers. And that shapes everything that we do in the sphere of climate change solutions. So what is this blockage that produces somebody seeing themselves as a consumer do? It creates suffering. Suffering is a word that's used in traditions, spiritual traditions across the world, and has been for thousands of years. And symptoms of that are things like unhappiness. Symptoms of that are things like climate change at the global scale. And the idea of suffering is that it is unavoidable in the world. We will never not have suffering, but it's something that we can work to change. And working to change that suffering is to work on these blockages, which to some extent is a very deep personal work. However, the types of solutions that we produce to combat or to fight or to change our relationship with this suffering, and I'll just continue to use climate change as an example, they more or less fall along the same lines as maximizing profit. The boom of renewable energy solutions in the world, the boom of electric vehicles, the boom of sustainable and organic food are all coming from the same concept that we need to make it a profit maximization activity. And I'm going to tell you, I'm in this industry. If it's not a profit maximized activity, it more or less doesn't happen. There's a lot of government-sponsored work, but the majority of activity that goes towards solving climate change comes from this, we can call it a wound, of thinking that we are consumers. So what does that do? That moves us in a loop of suffering, and that is producing solutions that move in and reinforce the idea that we are consumers, and it steals our capability of moving into mission happy. It steals the potential thunder from us to get to this place of balance and harmony. But there's another option. And the same spiritual teachings that talk about the blockages and that help us understand this deep level of suffering that goes on, that creates symptoms like climate change, also tell us the true nature of reality, which is abundance, which is prosperity, which is that we are entities of love, which is that we are all we are all interdependent beings. Us and nature are interdependent. Humans and humans are interdependent. Cities are the stage for us to have production and consumption of goods that are interdependent. And if we, instead of falling victim to these types of modalities within our blockages, the scarcity, the competition, if instead of falling victim to those, we make a solid effort, and this is oftentimes through personal betterment or spiritual exercises, to wake up to the idea that the earth is abundant. We won't starve if something happens to us. If there's a natural disaster, the neighboring states, cities, or nations will come and help people survive. This is proven again and again. Then we're not consumers anymore. Then we get to be a different entity. We get to wear different hats. We get to be revolutionaries. We get to be magicians. It changes our entire perspective on what the universe of the possible is. Because right now, in the loop of suffering, a lot of things are impossible. Getting to net zero by 2050 is more or less impossible. Having a zero waste society is impossible. We don't see it. It causes us a lot of heartache to even think that we might do it. Why? Because it doesn't seem in the realm of the possible. But if we wake up in a spiritual sense and a conscious sense, and we wake up to this abundance, we wake up to this interdependence and this prosperity, the field of the possible opens up dramatically. And then instead of our solutions maximizing profit, we're able to start to imagine what would solutions be like that maximize harmony. And I've traveled the world for the last year trying to find these examples, and they're small proof points. They're eco-villages of 10 people or 100 people. There are economic cooperatives of folks that gather food waste in a city, and they're able to support their families and support the environment at the same time. But there are small proof points that are making a very big picture that it is possible for us to accomplish mission happy. It is actually possible for us to sustain ourselves and live in harmony with the planet. And that leads to this empowerment, this idea that yes, we can have carbon negative lifestyles. We can have zero waste systems. We can have an entire economy that serves the workers because it's owned by them. So I think that the general idea is that once we take spirituality into perspective of our worldview, and we remove some of these deeper blockages that come in at the level of the human, not at the level of the economy, not at the level of the environment, but the level of the personal, then what it does is it gives us an on-ramp to actions that bring us to mission happy. It opens up the space and the possibilities for harmony. It takes away the limiting beliefs that make the actions that we need to do impossible, and it opens up the field of the possible.